Couldn't wait to get to the wonderful state of OH. But all week, they've been saying an invasion is coming from Rocky Top. You'll always be. Wow. Whoa. Rocky Top, Tennessee. I'll tell you what, I don't know if this early indication, because it is freezing, it is the morning, I know the students aren't out here. Tennessee has showed up, and the SEC coming up to the Big Ten. When it's cold as hell, we shall settle the conversation.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and we're your hosts, Bull P and Timmy G, and it's finally game day. It's finally playoff time. Put the ball down. Let's get ready to rock and roll. I want all seriousness today. You know what I'm saying? Hey, nobody should be in here, joking around and stuff. You ought to be 100% focused. Vol Nation, you stepped up in such a major way. How do we go up to Columbus and take over their whole town? I know that y'all probably seen it on social media, inside of bars, restaurants, in the streets. It's a sea of orange, singing Rocky Top, booing their fans. It's great to be a Tennessee ball. We show up, we show out. We just showed you that little clip right there from College Game Day this morning. And I think it was Kirk Herbstreit that said it's like 70% Tennessee out there right now. I think that right there sets the stage and sets the tone. We showed up. We're doing our part. Now all the players have to do is theirs. So I want to get y'all's opening thoughts, and please do, as soon as you come in, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We do have that poll going. I'm going to check on that here in about 5 to 10 minutes. So go ahead and put your votes in right there. Thank y'all so much for joining us. P, opening thoughts.
Man, hey, that's Vol Nation, bro. I mean, we freaking knew we'd show up. We've been trying to tell people freaking for the last 2-3 weeks. No one wanted to believe us. They said, no way. Okay, hey, you know what? We'll see. Whenever that thing kicks off, whenever that stadium gets filled up, it's going to be a lot of orange in there, man. And that says a lot about those Ohio State fans, that they're not willing to go out there and support their team in a big game that they freaking need all support they can get. But hey, man, I mean, I'm ready to roll, man. We've been waiting on this one for a long time. It's almost a little bit bittersweet. I mean, I was telling you guys, hey, the anticipation is really what makes it special. And now it's almost here. And it's like, man, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. I have so many emotions going through me right now. I have some nerves, a little bit of pregame jitters, but I'm so excited to see this team go play. I think they're ready. They're physically ready. I think what we saw last night, Indiana and Notre Dame, I think that's kind of a little bit of a precursor to, I think, maybe a little bit how our game may look, because I think our defensive front, I think we got something for those guys, and I think our offensive line has something for those guys too. So I expect a big time performance from Tennessee today. Hey, like Coach Hopper said, man, I'm ready to put the ball down and go play.
Yes, sir. Tim, opening thoughts.
Stoked, man, ready for this. Just like you said, been watching all the social media and balls travel, right? Like, last thing you want is these hillbillies coming out of the hills all jacked up on Mountain Dew and moonshine, because it's going to get ready to get wild. I love it, man. I'm ready for it. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm excited.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, so we are going to just get into our game breakdown. And actually, I'm going to start off right here, okay? These are just the stats with Tennessee's offense versus the Buckeyes defense. There's a lot of confidence, y'all. Again, in listening to all the Buckeye podcasts and things like that, all their media members, their fans on social media, they tend to favor their defense versus Tennessee's offense. They say, well, there's no way that Tennessee can run the ball down our throats because they have no real vertical passing game. There's a lot of mistakes right there. And P, you kind of touched on this. Last night, we saw what we've been telling y'all for the past few weeks. The Big Ten stats are going to be inflated because that conference sucks. Okay. That was Indiana was the number one rushing defense. They gave up a $130 on the ground in the first quarter. And people want to talk about, well, there's a 98-yard run. Well, if you're the number one rushing defense in the country, you don't give up 98-yard runs. I think that's the only one that they've given up this entire season. What does that tell you? As soon as they stop playing up against those sorry-ass Big Ten teams and play up against a team with an actual pulse, all of a sudden, you're getting moved around. You don't look that good. In that game, only, I think that Notre Dame only won by like 10 points, but we all know that Indiana was physically outmatched. So that was one of their 4 teams. P, we told them, y'all only had 3 real playoff teams. They gave you 4. They gave you Indiana, and we saw what they did. I have a feeling that we'll probably see a little bit more of that today, especially with Tennessee versus the Buckeyes. Their defense, to me, y'all, it's definitely overrated. I'm going to pull this up for y'all right here. So These are just some running plays. This is how I think the game is going to have to start off for Tennessee versus the for Tennessee versus the Buckeyes, right? You're going to see some shorter runs, right? It's going to be a whole lot of, hey, we're whacking you, but pay attention to the movement. Pay attention to the physicality that Michigan is showing to these guys. And what you'll see after these clips will be the Oregon clips where things start to kind of open up. That's how the game might start off. But understand something. 3 yards and a cloud of dust versus this defense is good because we're going to wear on them. We know a few things, y'all. Number one, they've got a very solid front four. I think that they are definitely not the best in pass rushing. Even in the Big Ten, I think that they're okay. I would say they're like an average SEC team versus the run. Their linebackers are extremely athletic. They have really good size. They're long and all that type of stuff, but they are not physical. That's what y'all just saw. Now you're starting to see whenever things really open up, towards the end of these games. But those guys, they will not be able to compete physically with Tennessee for 60 minutes. Once we get into the second half, I would expect that they will be worn down. And then if you talk about those safeties for the Buckeyes, yeah, they are really good. I think that they're going to help out, just as far as, helping out with the, gap, run gaps and things like that. Number two, obviously, Caleb Downs. He's really good. He can cover. He's going to help in run support. Number 7, they put him inside the box. He don't want no parts of that action, boss. Not at all. We're going to go straight at him. He's going to shy away, and try to sneak in behind it. But I want to go right at him. Number 8, a little bit better in run support, not as good in pass coverage. But then as soon as you get to the outside with those terrible cornerbacks, everyone keeps on talking about, well, Tennessee can't really throw the ball well. Nico's been up and down. Y'all are looking at games from way earlier in this season. What I'm going to tell you is this. The Buckeyes will have to bring those safeties down into the box to try to slow down Tennessee's run. We're going to get isolated on the outside with cornerbacks that cannot stop 6'5", 6'3", 200+ pounds, running 21+ miles an hour. They can't stop that one-on-one, dog. So Nico is going to hit his deep shots, and we can also hit all the underneath stuff. Everything is on the table. I think that if you look at the Buckeyes defense, where they're weak at, that's going to hurt their whole defense, because if you don't have good, solid corners, then you won't be able to stop Tennessee's offense by bringing a safety down into the box, because we will kill you on the outside. But those are my thoughts about, Tennessee's offense, just early ones, versus the Buckeyes defense. But Pete, what are yours?
Man, well, I think you go back to those clips you showed, looking at the Michigan game. I mean, everybody knows Michigan was a very one-dimensional team this year. So I'm pretty sure that box was freaking loaded, okay? The box was loaded. These guys still pushing for 3-4 yards a pop with 9 guys in the box. I think when I was watching the film, I think with some plays, they might have had like 10 guys in the box, like literally. And they're still getting a little bit of push. So, I mean, heck, you want to put your entire team in the box and we can still run it on you? Oh, and by the way, I think our O-line is better than Michigan's. Call me crazy. I think it is. And I think the way we spread the field, the box won't be as anywhere near that loaded. So we're going to get, 5-6 yards a pop, I think, pretty consistently in this game. But like you mentioned, whenever we have those one-on-one opportunities on the outside, we'll take those all day long. I mean, we've seen Nico grow throughout the season. Okay, you go back to the second half of the Alabama game. That's when it seemed like the light bulb kind of went on for him or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's looked really good the past several weeks. We're talking about Joel Klatt the other day, and how he talked about Nico. He hasn't progressed this season, all this stuff. And I said, dude, you're a typical stat watcher. You go look at the box scores. Yeah, maybe you might come to that conclusion, but go watch the freaking games. This guy's making reads. He's getting out of the pocket when he has to. He's making much more accurate throws. Receivers haven't helped him out a ton. And that's really going to where this game's going to be won, honestly. Well, line of scrimmage is where it's going to be won, but the receivers have to make some catches today because, like we know, their DBs are handsy. And so they may not be wide open all the time. There's going to probably be a guy kind of draped all over him, holding his arms down. Can we out-physical those guys, go up and make a play, even when we're being interfered with? Because we can't count on the rest to make those calls. But that's the only way they saw in our pass game, is if they're getting away with consistent PI and we can't overcome those things. But, I mean, the more film I watch of Ohio State and of ourselves, the more confident I become. And then you see Indiana go out there, a team that was kind of giving Ohio State a little bit of a run early in that game. I mean, I feel very confident in this game. I think that team's kind of in shambles right now. There's a lot of kind of in-house things going on up there in Ohio State right now. I think those guys, man, the first time adversity, I think they'll fold, and we could run away with this one big. So I feel great about the offense.
Yeah. Tim, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if there's anything else to add after that. I mean, yeah, I think he covered it all, man.
Fired up, man. Fired up.
He's fired up, man. Like, some people are more ready than I am today, obviously. Look, I'm ready for it, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to see our D line get in there. I think line of scrimmage is going to be where the game is won and lost, just like all the games are won and lost, But our D line, I'm looking for those guys to have a good day today. Wouldn't surprise me if Tyree West has a good day. Omar Norman Lott, those guys could really go off today. Also, man, ready to see Jamad McCoy go up against some, the upper end of receivers. I mean, not that he hasn't done it all season already, but I'm anxious to see it, man. That guy's just he can sign his check today. You know what I mean? He goes out and puts up a big game. Games like this, big players make big plays, and that's why I think Brew's going to have a day. Brew shows up in big games. It's a big game. Brew's going to show up. Brew will be a part of this game in some way, shape, or form. Brew will brew. That's all I got to say.
There you go.
Yep. Absolutely. So let me get to some of these chats here real quick, y'all. From Ethan 10 and 2 says, let's go Vols. Go put BTA on the Little Bro State University. Yes, sir. Appreciate you for chiming in. From Mike Harmon. What's going on, Mike? Saying, hello, Blue Chip fam. Vols all the way. You know it. Now, let me also get to this next one right here from Ethan saying that I don't think Ryan Day has what it takes. I don't either. And that's something else, I'll just kind of touch on it briefly here for this a second. But I think that if you look at the coaching stats, because obviously this is going to be a chess match. Football is a very simple game, but it can also be very complicated as well with some of the X's and O's and things like that. And we know that Ryan Day, Tim, y'all both kind of touched on this with everything that's going on, kind of like, with the fan base, with the media and everything for the Buckeyes. We know that they might kind of fall victim to, hey, we got to do what these people are telling us to do. And I think that that's going to hurt them. I think that they need to be who they are if they want to have any chance to win this game. But I don't see a whole lot of paths to success or paths to victory for the Buckeyes, period. But whole point right there is that I love our staff a lot more than I love theirs. I think we are going to outcoach them. So let me get to, okay, sorry about that one. So let's pull this up right here from Spectrus L says, love the channel. Thank you so much for that. Okay.
No Diddy on that. No Diddy.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that, man. Lofton SR94 says, what's up, y'all? Good morning. G-Force is saying, morning, brothers and sisters of all nation. It's time to lock in. You already know it. Also from Lofton SR94, I think we're good. We just go scoreless we just can't go scoreless in any quarters. All right, so let me actually do this real quick too, y'all. Let me check on this poll. Right now we are at it just switched. 91% is saying that Tennessee will win today. And there's 8%. Now it's at 92 for Tennessee, and there's 8% saying that we won't. I wonder if that's Buckeye fans or if that's somebody with BVS that is a Vol fan. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this matchup, man. Like, let's try to take it to the trenches because we talked some about our running game. The thing about Tennessee's run offense, our offensive line, our tight ends, our entire team from top to bottom, we're so physical. I think that we will set the tone there, and it's going to open things up on the outside. And then also, too, this as far as their pass rush, that's something that, people keep on touching on, that they don't think that our tackles are that good at, stopping those edge rushers, which over the course of the season, they've struggled some. But if you're talking about the pressure rates, the tackles' pressure rates are always higher because they're out on that island on their own. But it's going to be different. Again, going back to the stats, it's going to be different in the SEC than it is in the Big Ten. Their guys don't have the same amount of twitch, and that includes Ohio State. We're talking about JT. I don't want to, try to say his last name, and then Jack Sawyer. They're not going to rotate too many other guys in. There's 97 and P. I can't remember the other. 17 is, he's a go ahead.
Oh yeah,
is it 17?
Yes, 17, 33.
I think his name is Mitchell Melton.
44, 97. Yeah, I think that's it. Just those four guys.
Yeah. So the whole point there, y'all, is that they do a good job, kind of like with some power movements. They'll try some spin moves, but they are not twitchy. They will not beat us to the outside with speed. I think that's what our tackles struggle with the most. Now they are going to blitz a whole lot. So one of my biggest questions, y'all, and tell me what you think. One of my biggest questions is, how do the running backs pick up those different blitz packages, especially whenever Peyton Lewis gets in the game. Pete.
Yeah, that's really going to be the key right there is because we're going to have to get Peyton Lewis some reps, obviously. I think Dylan Sampson's been doing a really good job all season, but Peyton Lewis, Deshaun Bishop kind of been banged up here late in the season. How do those guys do picking up blitzes? Because their backers do a pretty good job blitzing, but as we watched on some of the practice clips we saw of those guys leading up to this game, like they're just soft. Like I was crazy. I was in there with Casey and my wife before I came in here, and I was trying to explain to them how like Ohio State, like on paper, is like the best team in the country. Like they have the best roster you could probably, the best roster money could buy, right? But I was trying to explain to them as to why it's just different, why they don't match up with us. And I was showing Casey some clips. I'm like, look at this case, and it was the linebacker blitzing, and guess what he does at the point of contact? He's freaking turned to the side. I'm like, imagine that's Arion Carter. He's putting his face right through that guy's throat, and that's the difference, guys. That's at every level of the field. That's our D line versus their O line. That's our O line versus their D line. That's our backers versus their running backs. That's our tight ends versus those guys. That's even our receivers versus their DBs. It's just different down here in the South, the way we play, the way we coach. And I mean, I expect us to be fine, man. I expect the O line to hold up well. I think Lance Hurt's gotten better as the years gone on. John Campbell looks like he's ready to go. We saw those guys loading the bus. Nico's coming. He's got his bodyguard right behind him, John Campbell right behind him. Okay. He's like, hey, you ain't getting out of my sight, until we go out here and get this dub. You know what I mean? So like these guys are locked in. We feel really good about the interior, which to me is the strongest point of their D line. I think 91 and 58 and even 98 comes in as well. Those guys are pretty good on the interior, but I like Coop Mays. I like Spraggins. I like Carrick. I like those guys on the interior. So, I mean, I think we'll get good push. I think they're not used to a team firing off the ball and knocking them back, but we're going to knock them back. And so, I mean, I think you'll see that line of scrimmage moved, a yard, 2, 3, 4 yards in the positive direction for us. So I think we'll hold up well in pass pro. We'll get a good push and run game. And I mean, I think we'll have a day passing and running.
Yeah, so Tim, we're gonna get to your thoughts. Let me get to the super chat first, though. From Vol Fan for Life for $2. Thank you so much for that, brother. Saying God bless and go Vols. Let's show them who we are. And actually, I do want to know: are you going to be in the house? Because it sounds like you live up in that area from one of our previous shows. Let me go ahead and play this clip for you first. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think that you said that you live in Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. But I was just curious if you're going to be able to make it up. Maybe not even just to get like into the actual game, but just to kind of be, part of that whole vibe. Which I think that there are a lot of people up there. We talked about it. There's a whole lot of orange that we're seeing everywhere. How many actually make it into the stadium? I think that we might see 30,000+. I feel pretty confident with that. We might be pushing 40. But but Tim, what are your thoughts right there?
Man, I mean, like once again, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for this game. I'm amazed at how much, how do I say this? How disenfranchised their fan base must be. The fact that tickets are still on sale up there is absolute insanity. That's something that would have never happened in Neyland. And the price of that crap, man. Good Lord! Like you could get a good seat up there for
$80.
A nosebleed. You can't even get a nosebleed for that in Neyland.
Yeah.
Like it's wild, man. I think big time players are going to make big time plays today. I think some guys are going to show up. I think Dylan Sampson's going to eat. I think the run game is look, man. He's done it against good defenses all year, and just like you said, Ohio State's stats. Oh, they've got the number one. Yeah. Well, what was it? Iowa. When we played them last year, weren't they like the number one defense up there in the Big Ten? They 35-0 versus a freshman that didn't even know anything yet. Like he was straight out of high school, literally straight out of high school. He just came in there and just stomped y'all.
Yeah, hey, and we were missing most of our team. Like the whole offensive line didn't play. I mean, we were missing like 8 or 9 key guys on offense, and probably like 8 or 9 key guys on defense too, and we still dominated.
Versus Nico, did he pass that game? Maybe like a couple. He had like 4 rushing touchdowns or something.
Yeah, something like that.
What's going on? I love it. Hell, James Pierce even got a tutty in that game.
Yeah, he did.
You got that pick 6, man. But look, I know Ball's ready for this, man. Iron sharpens iron. The SEC is full of iron, right? You
Yes, it
got
is.
teams everywhere that are really good. Hell, Vandy, man, like Vandy, even Vandy's good now. What's going
Yeah.
on?
I mean, hey. I was going down the list of teams in SEC last night, and I got all the way through number 16, and I still never got to a team that I think would look that bad against Notre Dame, as bad as Indiana looked. Like that would get that physically manhandled. I don't think there's a team in the SEC that would get that physically manhandled by Notre Dame. And Indiana, by the way, came what, second or third in the Big Ten?
Something like
They
that.
shouldn't have even
Or
been
fourth,
there.
whatever it
They
was.
shouldn't have even been there. The score did not reflect the way that game actually looked.
No,
like
no.
Notre Dame manhandled them, dude. It wasn't even. I know. Me and Bull were texting during the game. I was like, "It's going to be a long game for Indiana." I already see this right now.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, "Uh oh." But Big Ten, man, if it's a conference with so much hope. Like they're big. I mean, they're one of the biggest. But man, they really need to get some. They need to get some teams with some parity up there to help sharpen those guys up for I think what they're going to see today. We'll see, man. This is going to be a wild game. They've got so much talent.
And I was going to say real quick too, and I'll say this too. Like I know we talked about Big Ten, but I still will say like Ohio State and Oregon are kind of still like they're obviously a step above. Like so, like when we talk about Big Ten being awful, Ohio State and Oregon clearly are good teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're good teams, but they're the Texas. When I say Texas, like
they haven't played nobody.
Think Big 12 Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had all this recruiting, all this talent, but you do less with more.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
And that's the thing, man. Like you do less with more. You've got all the recruits, you've got all the blue chips, you've got all the star power and all this shit, but you do less with it than anybody. Like you always underperform.
Yep.
So look, man. I don't know, man. I think Ohio State's in for it. I think I saw some stuff on Twitter, like they're talking about I-75 headed north was just full of Tennessee people. Like you see the pictures of what's up there now. A bunch of people aren't going to stay the night. They're driving up there to watch that game. They're on the interstate right now. They're driving up there and they're getting ready to flood that place. 30,000. I'm betting 30,000 minimum. We'll see.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get back to the X's and O's here real quick. One of the questions that I do have is, will the Buckeyes try to get away from that four-man front on defense? Will they go to an odd man look? Because we've seen it some, not much 3-3-5, which would be nickel. They do that less than 1% of the time. But the 3-2-6, which is dime, I saw them run that a good amount versus Oregon. But every time that they've run it, I would say maybe I've seen them run it, we'll say 40 or so snaps, right? 40 to 50 snaps. I've only seen maybe 2 or 3 where they had success running it. So they're not good at it. I don't think that they really have the personnel to run it. But that would be a good way to try to slow down at least what Tennessee does. I think that they come into this game playing that even front with 4 down linemen and they have 1 to 2 linebackers inside of the box. They're going to have a lot of trouble stopping. And I think they might try to start it off that way. But Tennessee might maybe start off throwing the ball around some. And I don't think that they can match us as we're spreading them out if they don't switch to some sort of a odd man front. But what are y'all's thoughts on that, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they'll come out pretty much try to do what they do. Because, I mean, I still think, like they obviously expect to win. I mean, we expect to win. They probably expect to win. Like, I think they're going to pretty much try to do what they do, right? And then until we prove to them that, hey, like, you're gonna have to get a little bit more speed out here on the field to cover how much all this space out here and all this stuff. We might see them switch to a 3-man, and maybe we see them try to emulate what Arkansas did, what Oklahoma did. But you just really don't know, because Tennessee's a team like you can't really go by what you see on film, because teams pretty much always will play us differently. Now the difference here is that Ohio State's a team that we never play. They never play us. Obviously, we don't even play teams that played them. I don't think we've even played a team that's played them. Like we're not even like close. Like we have nothing. Yeah. So this is really their first time seeing us. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they adjust to it, to the speed and all that stuff. But I mean, like you said, man, if they want to go 3-man front, I don't like that look for them either. because I think we should be able to run the ball on that because I'm just not impressed with their ends, and I think we'll be able to get movement, on a nose tackle or whatever, on a zero technique, whatever. Like, I just feel like we're going to have success no matter what they do. But again, they have the personnel, so it's kind of weird saying that because they have the personnel.
I don't know if they have personnel to run a 3-man front because, like you said, if you look at their ends, what sort of pass rushing, and then too, well, I mean, maybe they could throw some more linebackers out there. If they try to throw some more secondary players out there, I think that you said it right first. Like, it doesn't really matter what they do. You see so many holes, and the main reason for that is because those cornerbacks. If you don't trust your cornerbacks to go one-on-one on the outside in any sort of a front, that's going to mess up everything for your defense versus a team that can and will run the football. I apologize for cutting you off, people. Let me get to the super chat real quick from DJ for $20. Thank you so much, DJ. Saying go Vols, get it done. Thank you. Let's play the clip. Appreciate you, DJ, and I think that we will get it done. We haven't got to the picks yet, but we will get to those here in just a minute. But P, going ahead and finish about those odd man fronts.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much done. Like I said, I mean, I was saying, like, I think they have the personnel in terms of, like, they're athletic enough. Now, the issue for me is more so, I think 44 and then 91 would be, those would be two guys that I think could give you something up front. But then 33, I think that he'll just get blown out. So now I think the run game is just going to be wide open in that type of front. And I mean, they're athletic in the secondary, but like I said, they're handsy. They're not very physical outside of Caleb Downs and number 8. Those are really, and I mean, number 1's physical too, but he's
overly
physical. Tackling. Yeah, he's freaking tackling guys, dude. So, but I mean, that's really it, man. I think no matter what they do, they're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, and so for those of y'all that don't know, number 1, the cornerback for the Buckeyes, Davison. I don't know what his last name, but he is the most penalized secondary player, maybe the most penalized player, period, in the entire country. And then their other cornerback, number 10. I mean, he's just awful. I mean, he's allowing passes to be completed at 79% on him, and that's versus the Big Ten. That's something else that I kind of started to talk about earlier, and I didn't really finish it. But the only team that they faced against this entire season, because again, going back to that Indiana game, we see their passing game ain't really like that. But Oregon's was good. Oregon killed them through there. They threw for like over 340. They also ran the ball well. They ran for over it's like 150. Yeah. That was it. So that's the only team that they've played that's anywhere near Tennessee where they're going to spread you out and make those guys on defense have to play versus some sort of a tempo, play out in space. I actually found it funny that their DC was saying that they're built for this. Oh, we're the fastest team in the country. But, buddy, you couldn't get lined up versus Oregon. We go a lot faster than Oregon does. So, I mean, I think that there are so many things that's going on behind the scenes with their coaching staff. And I think maybe some, too, with their fan base. That it's just like I don't think that they even really fully realize what's about to happen to them. Yeah. I don't think that they're ready for this game at all. So I'm very, very excited. But Tim, what are your thoughts? Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm going to say now, here's my only catch to this whole deal. Okay. Mm-hmm. We all know, hey, money talks and that whole deal. So the powers that be, do they want Ryan Day to get fired or do they want him to stay? Because if the right people want him to stay, you have to wonder, hey, how rigged is this game going to be? I mean, people say you're crazy. No, seriously, like you got to think about stuff. Like you talk about the PIs and all that stuff. How many of those don't get called? Like if the right guy wants Ryan Day to stay, they could really try to handicap us and do things like that. So that's just something I want to throw out there. Something to think about as we watch this game.
Yeah, I'll just counter that and say that, you know what, it ain't gonna matter. I don't think that's gonna happen in this game. Like I hate to even put that out there, but that is kind of true because this this crew, they've messed Tennessee up before. They've messed up big games a few times in the past. But I think that they've gotten better as time has kind of worn on. So I'm hoping for a very, very fair called game. If the game is called fair, Tennessee wins. But Tim, what are your thoughts on the odd man front for the Buckeyes defense versus that 4-man front?
I think that would be ridiculous for them to do that. Number one, we faced that multiple times this year, so we're pretty practiced at it. How practiced are they at running that? And this is when you want to make changes to do that. If you do that, that is insane. Like I heard them say, "Oh, well, we might run tempo." what are you doing? Did tempo get you here? Don't listen. If you like, are we in your head that fucking much? Do we scare you like that you're talking about changing to all this crazy crap that you haven't done all season? Because that's what it sounds like when you're talking about doing some of these things that you haven't done. Why would you do that? Just be who you are and execute. That's what you should do if you're them.
Right.
But I don't know, man. Like I think Tennessee is probably the most terrifying team for them, just as at least as coaches, right? Because you've seen nothing like it. You've seen nothing like it all year. A couple teams that have definitely beat them this year both resemble Tennessee in some ways. Oregon on offense, minus the wide splits, right? And also Michigan on defense, but Tennessee's defense is better.
Yeah.
So, plus throwing the tempo, plus throwing all this shit about, oh, well, it's in the cold. It's just as cold down here, dude. Trust me. I walked outside this morning. I was like, yeah, this is cold, right? Like,
cold out there.
Hey, it's below freezing. It's cold. Like,
yeah.
Cold
is cold.
Cold is cold.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It is. And you know what? I spent a whole lot of time playing football up north. So I've played in, like single digit temperatures. And it's something that you do get used to. This is not going to be that type of cold. But like until you get, once you get up under 32, you don't really feel it until you get down to about 9. That's, and I'm saying at least for me, that's when I start to feel it more, being outside playing football. And we couldn't wear sleeves because I played defense. So there's a whole lot of things that Tennessee's going to have in place from, heated, little pants and shirts and just a lot of different things. Obviously, heated benches. There's going to be some, warm fans. They're going to have plenty of things. They have coats that they can wear whenever they get to the sidelines that will keep them warm until they get into the game. Once you get into the warm, you start moving around. Your blood keeps on flowing. So, I mean, to me, the weather is going to be a non-factor, especially for Tennessee. If it impacts anybody, it would impact the Buckeyes more because it does sound like they're going to try to throw the football around. Sounds like they're going to come out and try to sling it around a whole bunch. It's tough. We saw that last night whenever it gets cold like this to make those catches, especially early on. That can end up putting them in a really bad spot. And once they get behind us, I love our chances. But let me also talk a little bit about our running game because everyone talks about Dylan Sampson, and rightfully so. I think that D Samp is, 1A, 1A, 1B. Genty might be better, but I think that D Samp is on that same level. He's really good. He's going to do a lot of good things. But nobody's been talking about the other running backs for Tennessee. Nobody talks about Bishop. They're not talking about Peyton Lewis. And I'm actually going to pull this. I'm going to pull this back up just to kind of show you them as well, because they can. It's pretty much the same thing. Now, Peyton Lewis, running back number 3, at about 6'1", 225-ish pounds. He's really, really fast. He's a track guy. Him and D Samp, they're both track guys. So he's a bigger body that is a bruiser. But we've got a lot of versatility and we've got a lot of depth. It's not just going to be on D Samp. It's going to be on those backups. But I want for y'all to talk some about how you think they're going to play. How many carries do you think that the backups will get? And do you think that they will help Tennessee out in this game?
Yeah.
Pete.
They're definitely going to get some carries today. It's kind of like Coach Sims says. I mean, it's kind of based on the flow of the game, the hot hand. If D Sampson there lighting it up, I mean, we know Hype will turn around and give it to him, 30 times in the game. But if it's a deal where maybe, Samps gets tired and then we're bringing Lewis or Bishop and then all of a sudden they're hot, then they'll get more carries. So I think we'll split this thing up. I mean, I'd probably say Sampson will get around 20, 22, 23 carries, maybe even more than that. But he'll be like low to mid 20s, and then I think the other guys they'll probably be in the single digits, like 7 or 8 carries a piece for those other 2 guys. But I mean, they're going to come in and do what they do. They're going to get some good yardage. The only issue, like I said, with Peyton Lewis, younger guy, true freshman. How much has he picked up on the pass pro type stuff? We saw him make some mistakes. I think it was against Georgia, maybe against Vandy, I'm thinking, but he missed a couple guys. So to me, when he comes in the game, I'm immediately thinking it's either a run or something quick because we don't trust Peyton Lewis to pass pro. So we'll see if they trust him today, and if they do, can he pick up his guys? But I mean, yeah, that's the thing, man. We're a 3-headed monster. Oh, and by the way, Nico Iamaleava is probably the most athletic quarterback they've seen all year. So got him too.
Yeah, we're going to come back around to Nico here in just a second. But Tim, what are your thoughts with Tennessee's running game, especially with our backups? Do you think how many carries do you think they'll get in this game, and do you think that they're going to have success versus this defense?
Yeah, I do think they'll have success. I think in terms of yardage, I think it's going to go D. Samp, Deshaun Bishop, and then Peyton Lewis in terms of yardage. Deshaun Bishop is freaking amazing. True. I mean, what's the deal with him? I mean, he's older. He's older than just a true freshman, right?
He's a redshirt, right? Is he a redshirt freshman?
Something like that. Yeah, but man, that kid is so good. He runs a lot. Him and D. Samp look almost identical in a lot of ways. And man, he's really twitchy. The guy can make a jump cut and he can do some crazy things. I love both those backs, and I think Peyton Lewis has insane potential. Once he figures out the system and he gets used to everything, and I think he's got insane potential. We just haven't seen him have that breakout game yet. Maybe we will, right? Yeah. Maybe we will. But the running game is they're gonna do their thing today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So actually, Bishop has a higher yards per carry average than D. Samp does. I think that D. Samp might be at like 5.5. And I want to say Bishop might be at like 6.1. I think that today might be the day, Tim, that Peyton Lewis finally gets past that second level. Once he gets past the second level, nobody's going to catch him. We haven't really got to see him get to his top end speed yet, but he is a true track guy. I think he might actually be the fastest player on this team. Like he was a track guy, almost first. Then he started playing football, but at that size to be able to move like that, and he runs really, really, really hard. So, yeah, I think that, look, we just got to keep on rotating in bodies. I want to keep him fresh. But let's go back to Nico because he is a player that obviously can do it all. He can make all the throws. He's got a very, very strong arm, which I think will benefit him if it gets kind of windy. It doesn't look like the wind's going to be too bad, though, so that's kind of like a non-factor. But with his legs, we haven't seen him use his legs that much. I think that he will use his legs in this game. There's several times that I've seen off of the read options where those ends or the edge player, whether that's a linebacker or whoever for the Buckeyes, they're not disciplined. They fight on the run hard. Nico pulls that. He can go. He can scoop, right? Like 21 miles per hour. So he's one of the fastest players out there in the game today. So I think that could be a pretty big factor. But I'm going to say over under for Nico, 10 carries. What do y'all think, Pete?
Man, I don't know. 10 carries. If we're counting scrambles too.
Yeah, scrambles too.
Man, 10 carries. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say man, that's a good over under. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go ahead and take the freaking over. I'm gonna take the over because I think we will because we saw Michigan had success. Heck, Dylan Raiola ran over those guys.
He did.
Thinking Dylan Gabriel had like a 30-yard touchdown run on those guys. So I think we will try to use his legs. I can see a couple of design plays, and I think he'll take off and scramble as well. We saw him do it a lot against Georgia, and he's really getting more comfortable and doing that better. So I'm going to say over. I'm going to say he probably runs it about 11, 12 times this game.
Tim, what you going to take?
I don't know about if I'm taking more than 10. I'm thinking like 7 or something. I think that's about what he averages, right? Somewhere between 6 and 7 runs a game, maybe. Look, if he can pull 10, then that means he's having a really good day because that means that they're calling his number a lot or something. But I think him running the ball is definitely crucial in this game. Number one, for something about that, I think it calms him down and helps him settle into the game a little bit better when he runs early. I'd love to see him designed run with him early on in the game.
Hey, does anybody know how many carries he had against the last big team we played against Iowa?
Oh, I want to say it was 12. 12.
Yeah.
But so maybe somebody can look that up real quick. I think it was something like that.
Yeah, I'd say it was probably. I have a feeling it was more than that. I mean, 4 of them were touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. About 15. He probably about 15, 20 carries. It seems like.
Yeah, he was killing them. I mean, like I think he was having problems. They weren't very comfortable in him throwing the ball a little bit, but you could tell he hadn't really settled in just yet. So it was all about I'm just going to go out there and play backyard football. And that's what he did, man. He beat the brakes off there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's where he's the most dangerous at. You know what I'm saying? Like that really is where he's the most dangerous at. Yeah, let me see if all right, so I'm gonna try to look this up real quick.
His carries. Yeah, I mean, I think we have to use his legs today, man. I mean, and we'll see when I have to. I mean, if these Samps just freaking killing them up the middle for 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, 30 yards a pop, I mean, you know, there's no need to put Nico in harm's way if you don't have to. But I can see us doing that for sure because he's an even better runner than people realize. Like he's, like you said, he's hitting 20 miles per hour. I don't think people realize he's that fast. And then he's also strong. And now I think ever since that Bama game, when he made that cut on that big run he had, I think that was the moment when he really flipped that switch. And I think now he knows, man, he can get loose on these guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Nico had 15 carries, but I wonder how many of those were sacks. So let me see. How many times was he sacked in this game?
I think he sacked 5 times.
Did they?
I feel like it was something crazy like that, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, he probably had somewhere around I don't think it couldn't have been that many. So he probably had about like 10 carries in that game that was actually, like real carries. Either way, though, I do think that he's going to use his legs. I think that he's P to your point, Tim to your point. I think that he's really starting to calm down and he really has commanded this offense. And that's what you need. And especially in these moments, he rises to these types of moments. That's why he's the $8 million man. And people want to keep on hating on him. But I feel like he's about to really break out in the college football playoffs. And that's the worst thing to happen to these Buckeyes. But let's go ahead and flip the page, man. Let's talk about the Buckeyes offense versus Tennessee's defense. A lot of folks feel like this is where Tennessee has a very strong advantage at because the Buckeyes are missing several offensive linemen. Now, I've seen a rumor kind of floating around out there. I don't know how true it is, but we already know that they're missing their starting left tackle, Simmons. He's out. He's been out for like the past few weeks. And then their starting center, I can't think of his name, but he actually went to Buford, so I should be able to think of it. It's Seth something. Yeah. Okay. So those two are out. Those are their best 2 offensive linemen. So at this point, what they've done is they've moved one of their starting guards to left tackle, and then they've got a backup guard, I believe, number 67, playing at left guard. Then they have a backup center, but it sounds like that left guard sounds like he got hurt in that Michigan game. Again, y'all, I don't know that this is a fact. It's just something that's been kind of floating around out there, and it makes sense to me because in listening to all the talk about their practice for the past couple of weeks, it doesn't sound like this player, number 67, was ever starting whenever the media was actually out there. It was another backup, number 51, who I think is pretty decent. And then, they've got number 77, Tegra, playing at the right guard, and then number 70 playing at right tackle. So I think that if they are missing another guard, obviously that does favor Tennessee. I think that their offensive line, really, even at their absolute best, they're more about finesse. They're more about pass blocking, not so much about run blocking. They've never been body movers, and that's from the start of the season with everybody. Now that they're down 3, maybe 4 guys, I don't expect for them to be able to find too much success running the football, especially versus this front 4 for Tennessee. And a lot of folks talk about our edge players, James Pierce, Joshua Josephs, Tyree West, Dominic Bailey, Jason Jenkins. How many more do I need to name off, y'all? But really, I think that the interior, and it's funny because I'm starting to hear more people saying that now too, but the interior is what really brings everything all together. That's where there's a problem at because you can't double team James Pierce and then, have to double team somebody else unless you're max protecting. And then Tennessee's going to have better numbers out in coverage. So my whole point was saying that this was kind of starting this thing off is that Tennessee is always going to try to stop the run first, right? Like that's our MO. And then we're going to get after that passer. Now, expect a whole lot of quick stuff because they are scared of our pass rush. So expect a whole lot of snap the ball, throw the ball, snap the ball, throw the ball. And they'll have to, again, max protect to be able to throw it down the field. But we should have better numbers there. I don't see a lot of places. And they will find success because they're so talented. But I don't see a whole lot of places, where Tennessee needs to be too concerned at. Outside of, I'm gonna bring this up real quick, and then I'm gonna let y'all speak. Outside of these quarterback design runs with Will Howard inside of the red zone, they have a really good red zone offense. This could get a little bit tricky because they do have so many players that are threats. You have to be able to account for everybody. And in certain situations, do we want to try to double Jeremiah Smith down there? Well, if we do that, then we're opening up some easier running lanes. So I think it's going to be really important that Tennessee keeps them away from the red zone area in any short down the distance situation. what we know is that Will Howard's legs will be a threat. But P, what are your thoughts with their offense versus our defense?
Man, heck, I'll keep this simple, man. This game's going to be won at the line of scrimmage. And, obviously they have a lot of good skill guys and all that stuff. And there's a lot of questions people have about about our secondary versus their receivers. Okay, whatever. But if they don't have time to throw, then that's going to matter. So I think we should absolutely destroy these guys. I mean, when I watch these guys on film, they're pretty decent in pass pro, pretty decent, but guys aren't attacking them the way that our D-line is going to attack them. Like, we are striking violently, and we're coming hard. And, oh, and by the way, the speed we have off the edge, they haven't seen that type of speed. The speed James Pierce is going to come off the edge. We talked, Tim, you talked about him against Iowa getting that pick. I believe he got to 20 miles per hour on that play. Like, he can fly. Okay, so like, I mean, we're going to be coming. Like, it's going to be ridiculous, and it is going to be a lot of quick stuff, man. If you kind of read between the lines, some of the stuff Ryan Day, and that's something talk about Ryan Day. He actually kind of gives information in his pressures. Coach Howard doesn't give anything. You know what I mean? Like, but you can kind of read, you can kind of pick up on some things. And from what I heard, I think they're going to try to do some jet sweeps and things. He kind of talked about almost like kind of trying to manufacture some run game and trying to find ways to be able to kind of like run the ball. So I think look for some jet sweeps and kind of just some things like that. Maybe some little quick passes as extensions of the run game. Maybe like you said, Bulls, some RPO type stuff, read option type stuff, QB run type stuff. But they're going to try to do some different things, some misdirection type things, get on the edge quick type things to try to just get outside of our edge, the edges of our defense. But I mean, they got nothing for us, man. We're going to blow them up front. And I think Ricky Gibson, Jamar McCoy are going to be really good in coverage, as well as Boo Carter. People talk Boo Carter, he's young. Okay, yeah, he's young, but as far as ability, he can stick with anybody. When he gets beat, it's because of rookie mistakes. He got picked off, or they gave him unfamiliar formation, something like that. But he doesn't just get beat because of lack of ability. And then Christian Harrison's well can cover. My only concern is going to be, can Will Brooks and can Andre Turntine, if they get matched up with one of their receivers, can they stick with the guy down the field? And then, the linebackers, can they pick up the backside of the backfield and pick up on those crossing routes if we're in zone coverage? But I mean, I think we have a good plan and we'll be ready for all that. So I don't see these guys really putting up many points at all, honestly. They have a hard time moving the ball.
Yeah. Tim, what do you think about excuse me? What do you think about Tennessee's defense versus the Buckeyes offense?
I think it's going to be a problem for them, especially with the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's why Michigan gave them such a problem, right? And Tennessee has bigger and stronger guys and more of them, and they're going to be able to stay fresh. They're going to be rotating those guys in and out. I think Michigan might have 5 guys that are pretty solid. I think Tennessee's got 12, possibly 13. Like it's a wealth of riches at D-line. But, man, I think as long as our linebackers play solid and play tight, I think we're going to have a good game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe we could talk a little bit about the scheme, but actually we're getting close to the end. So we're going to have to wrap that portion of it up, and let's go ahead and get to our picks here real quick. So right here, we are going to be picking off of ESPN, all the bowl games. We know that the first one is going to be SMU versus Penn State. That one's at noon, and Penn State is favored by 8.5 points. The over-under is 52.5. P, who you got?
I was leaning Penn State, but once I saw how bad Indiana was, I'm thinking that SMU really might get those guys, man. I hate to do it because that was my old coach.
Yeah, also too, there's a bunch of snow up there, so let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, there's snow, but I mean, I don't think. And I'll be completely honest. I haven't watched any SMU. Okay, I'll be completely honest. I haven't watched a single play that they played all season. But I'm picking. I'm gonna be safe. I'm going to go Penn State. But hey, but I think SMU, man. I don't know because I don't know what SMU has up front. But so I'm gonna go Penn State. Be safe. Penn State wins a tight one.
All right, Tim, who you got?
Right on. I love that. Watch P talk himself out of it in real time. I love it, man. Hey, I think if there's an upset today, I think it could be SMU, possibly. However, I'm just like P. I haven't watched them at all. Aren't they out of Texas?
Yeah. Dallas.
Dallas. Oh, yeah. All right. Listen, Penn State. That is at Penn State. That place gets wild. That place gets rowdy. I think that's a big time advantage for Penn State. I'm not saying Penn State is good. I don't think they should be this highly ranked, to be honest. But it is what it is. I will take Penn State over SMU. I haven't seen SMU at all this year, but Penn State playing at home versus a team from Texas that's probably not used to the cold. That's probably a decent bet.
Yeah. So I've watched a good amount of SMU. They've got some weapons. I think that if this game was played indoors, which is what SMU was actually built for, is to play more like on turf and in warmer climates and things like that. They're a lot more about finesse. If this game was indoors, I might actually pick SMU to win this game, or even if it wasn't in the snow. Once I saw snow out there, it looks like it's several inches too. I said, "Oh no, there's no way SMU is going to win this game." This will be like a James Franklin special. We know that he goes out and gets tough, gritty players. He's a tough, gritty coach. They're going to stick to the run. They might run it 60 times today, something like that. So I do have Penn State winning this because of how the matchup is going to be playing out based off of the weather. Now let's come on down. Oh wait, these are some. All right, we're going to skip those. Let's talk about Clemson versus Texas. That's game number 2 today. At 4 o'clock. The game's going to be at Texas, and they're favored by 13.5 points. The over-under is 50.5. And who do y'all have in this one? I'm going to start off with you this time, Tim.
I'm taking Texas. I think Dabo can Dabo it up in the most Dabo way ever. Is what I think. He'd be out there flipping burgers. Give me Texas, man. Give me Texas. I'll take Texas. I could Clemson upset Texas? Possibly. I think Texas defense is pretty legit. It'll be interesting to see them play another team that's okay, which I'm not sure they've played that many teams that are okay this year. They got beat by Georgia both times they played them. And outside of that, I mean, who's the best team Texas has played outside of Georgia?
Vandy or Oklahoma, probably.
Oh, okay. So nobody really. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Vandy could beat them. I mean, hell, they only beat Vandy by what, 3 points, right?
It was close, yeah.
At Vandy, yeah. Which is, that's wild, man. But Vandy's just that wild team this year, man. But no, Texas.
Texas. All right, Pete, who you got?
Yeah. I agree. I'm gonna go Texas. I just think there'll be too much for Clemson up front, and Clemson won't have time to throw. I don't think they'll be able to get the run game going. And I think hopefully Sark is finally going to start using Arch a little bit and get him going and really open up the offense a little more. But I like Texas to win, and I think they got a good shot to cover as well.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I think that if Sark plays Arch, then all of a sudden Texas looks pretty unstoppable, because I think that Quinn Ewers is a major problem. And seeing them lose, and I don't care who you lose to twice in the same season, that's a problem to me. Especially you lost at home, then you lost at a neutral site. Granted, it was in the state of Georgia, but Texas fans are everywhere, especially here, like in the city. This is a very transient city. It's not like Georgia's home base or nothing like that. I'm starting to lose a whole lot of faith in Sark. Now, I do like him. There's things about him that I like, but the overcomplication, the way that everything takes too long to get going, just like the stupid, goofy stuff that seems to permeate throughout that entire team. I think that they're about to lose today, y'all. I don't think that they're that good. Now, hey, I could be wrong. I would much rather see Clemson win this game, because at the end of the day, they could keep on winning. And we'll talk about that some more here in just a second. Actually, let's pull that up first. Let me pull this up for y'all real quick, because I do want to kind of touch on how this part of it looks with the bracket. So if Clemson wins today, they get to face Arizona State. Dang. So that's probably, really either one of those teams, right? Like, you got to feel good about that matchup, because that's who we get to face. So I'm kind of going for Clemson to win this game. But yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick Clemson. But let me bring us back to the final pick of the day. Of course, it's going to be our Vols versus the Buckeyes. The game is in Columbus, aka Neyland North, and the Buckeyes right now are still favored by 7 points. The over-under is 46.5. Tell me why Tennessee is advancing to play up against the Oregon Ducks, Pete.
Well, I mean, heck, this game, like we've said numerous times, is going to be won or lost at the line of scrimmage, and I think we're better than them. I mean, it's pretty obvious we're better than them on our D line versus our O line is the biggest matchup of this entire playoff. Probably, I mean, this is close to being as big of a mismatch as Indiana's O line was versus Notre Dame's D line. Like I think it's gonna be kind of close to that. So I mean, we're gonna demolish those guys up front, I think. And I think that our secondary is better than people give credit for. Everybody knows about Jamar McCoy, but they don't give Ricky Gibson his flowers. They don't give Blue Carter his flowers, Christian Harrison his flowers. And oh, by the way, Will Brooks is better in coverage than people think. And I think Andre Turntime's come a long way as well. So I feel pretty good about our coverage versus their receivers. Like you said, their receivers will get theirs, but they got to have time to throw. Got to have time to hit some plays down the field, because I think they're going to have a hard time trying nickel and dime down the field and sustain drives that way. I think they're going to need to create some big plays to have success scoring points on us, I think. And I think our offense is better than people realize as well, man. We can run it right at you. I think our O-line is going to have a lot of success moving their D-line. I think we'll do enough to create seams for Samson. We know he doesn't need much space. He can get yardage when it doesn't look like there's anything there. I think we'll run the ball well. We'll go for over 150, which somebody was talking about this the other day. The two teams that have beat Ohio State have rushed for over 150 yards. That's the one thing they have in common. I think we'll do that, no problem. And I think we'll hit some plays on the outside, man. I see Nico throwing for about 2 touchdowns today, maybe more. And, maybe adding one with his legs as well. I think the Vols win. I think they win pretty convincingly. I'm going to go ahead and say Vols 27, Ohio State 10.
Okay. Love it. Tim.
Vols, baby. Vols all the way. Look, I think we posed a lot of problems for them, problems that they haven't seen yet. I know the team is fired up. I know there's going to be a crap load of Tennessee fans in the stadiums cheering them on and getting rowdy. I think it's going to be a great game, a great environment. Too bad it couldn't have been played at Neyland. I would have loved to see that, but hey, it is what it is, right? So, no, I think Tennessee, and I'm going to say Tennessee by 10. So I'm saying like maybe 27-17, something like that.
Okay. I love it. So for me, both of y'all's points, everything that we've talked about over these past couple of weeks, we understand that the game is going to be won or lost in the trenches. Tennessee has the advantage on both sides of the football. Also, you're going to need some plays from your quarterback. I think that Will Howard is pretty good. I think he might be number 3 or number 4 in the country, like for QBR or something like that. So his numbers look good. Hasn't faced really any real team. Well, he's faced 2 or 3 real teams. Everyone else has been trash and garbage. He didn't look good versus the real competition as far as I'm concerned. He'll throw the football to you. But I think that if you're talking about a player that has the capability and has shown it to make the plays, look at Nico. Hate to even bring this up, but even if you go back to that Arkansas game, when time is starting to dwindle down, we need to come down the field and score. He's spinning out, making people miss, and throwing 70-yard strikes in between triple coverage. That's the capability that Nico has. So if he comes out, if we lean on that running game, hit some deep shots on those horrible cornerbacks once those safeties come down, we're going to be just fine. But the last thing that I want to say that gives me a ton of confidence about this game is we know about Michigan, right? Like they've beat the Buckeyes for the past 4 years consecutively. People talk about Connor Stallions and, stealing signs and all that good stuff. I've held on to this entire, these past couple of weeks because I didn't want to say it too soon. But what I have seen on film, not just from Michigan, but from Oregon and from some other teams, but especially from Michigan, they knew everything that the Buckeyes were going to do on every single play. Go back and watch that game. You'll see that the coverage was right where they were trying to throw it to. The blitz packages and schemes was right to the gap that they were running the football to. They know something, and they hate the Buckeyes. We've got to coach up on that staff. I know that they've been in contact. We're going to have an inside beat on what the Buckeyes like to do, and I think that it really takes this one over the edge. I've got our Volunteers winning this one 30-17, by what is that, 2-3 scores?
14?
Yeah, okay. 13, right. Yeah. So, and that's also me taking the over. I think that the offense is going to show up, and I don't think that they're going to be able to get very much going. Just as far as the Buckeyes, I don't think that they'll be able to get very much going with their offense. So, I do have our Vols winning and winning big, and we hope that y'all will enjoy the game. If you're up there, stay warm, keep it loud, keep it rowdy, be safe, all that good stuff. We will be seeing y'all after the game. and hopefully we'll all be celebrating. But that's it for this one. Please do make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all in just a minute. Thanks.